talking about how to have motivation for your health, how to have motivation for vitality and power, and to be epic, to live an amazing life. You remember that feeling when you were a teenager and you just believed? You didn't have all the calluses and all the disappointments of life that have come against you, the breakups, the job losses, the failures. You just thought that you were epic as hell. You were this teenager, eyes wide open. You thought it was amazing that you could run around and do stupid parkour moves. You thought that everything you did was epic. You were 13 and you thought you knew better than your parents. You were just this epitome of being Naruto. You literally just believed that you could be the president, Hokage, rule the world, go to Mars. You know, we've lost too much of that. We've lost way too much of that. Now we've lowered our standards to such a pathetic level that people are just settling. People are settling for a job that they hate, a relationship that they hate. Maybe it's even like a blow-up doll. I'm not even kidding, guys. Like, I'm not being facetious. People have blow-up dolls. People have like these AI sex toys. They're settling for just like being this cocoon, infinite Tsukiyami for you Naruto fans, living in the Matrix, and you don't like your life, and you're coping it down with weed and whatever the hell else you do to cope it down. You know, everybody knows there's tons of copium, and you know, nobody's immune to it. Everybody's got these problems, but the question remains how to be vital, how to be motivated. So today we're gonna freaking talk about it. Because if I could snap my fingers and if a genie could say, yeah, well, go ahead, you can be however you want to be. You can be like John Cena. You can be like your favorite superhero. You know, a lot of people are watching The Boys nowadays. How many would like to be like Butcher? Just a badass. He's jacked. He's a badass. He gets what he wants. He has that will force. He has that power. That's what we're talking about. So, you know, I see a lot of guys. One of my good friends fell back into alcoholism. You know, there's temptations out there. There's a lot of reasons why I have these opinions on, you know, it's a slippery slope, that alcohol. That is a slippery slope. It grabs people and keeps them down. He's in this constant cycle of just like drinking. You know, he had a DUI. Now he can't go anywhere. He just goes to work, comes home. Same thing happens. I have friends who, you know, they just play video games and they smoke weed. And it's kind of sad. Because you know deep down, they know that they like the hero's journey. You know that they like Naruto and One Piece. And you know that they like this sci-fi, this lore about overcoming challenges and going out and living an amazing life and being the anime protagonist, right? So we all want to be the anime protagonist, but what is killing that drive? What is killing that, what is literally constricting out and just suffocating that hero within you? What's keeping you from doing the simple things that you want to do? You know, like you want to eat healthier, you want to go to the gym, you want to sleep better, you want to socialize more. But what is that force that just forces you not to do it? It seems like it's an impossible force. And this is going to be a quick one, guys. This is a quick one. I gotta go soon. But just wanted to touch base here and give what I think is the number one antidote to this copium, this derping, this quicksand that you feel like you're in, that is just sinking you down. It just makes it feels like it's impossible to not overeat, to not get the Taco Bell, to not get the Pop-Tarts or whatever the hell, to not go to the weed or the bottle or the porn or the endless TikTok distractions. And you're leaving all your books, you're leaving all your ambitions, and you're sacrificing it. You're sacrificing it to the god of copium. And he's got you. He's got you like this. And listen, I know what it's like. I know what it's like. There are so many of these copium gods that are literally just like dominating people. Like, they got them like this. They got them by the balls. And they don't know how to break free. And it keeps you from following your dreams, ambitions. You're not the anime protagonist, man. You are failing. Somebody has to look at you straight in the eye and tell you, you're fucking failing on your hopes and dreams. You're disappointing all the people that you could be helping. You're not fulfilling your destiny. You are selling out, and you're letting these demons and these gods of copium steal away your life. Are you gonna just keep on going and just let yourself be strangled and go to the grave without fulfilling your potential? Because that's what a lot of people do. don't think that this is some kind of la fucking land like Pinocchio. Like you can just go off and be at a carnival your whole life. This world is war, man. If you haven't noticed, health is a war. Money is a war. Relationships is a war. If you haven't noticed, it's a battlefield out there. And if you're so wide-eyed, like this naive teenager, just thinking that everything's gonna work out okay, you know, like I'm just gonna smoke my weed and just keep on going to my job and I'm surviving. You're hardly even surviving, my friend. You're a sinking ship. Your soul needs to be prospering. You cannot just take care of the physical body and not have health, mental health, ambition, life purpose, meaningful relationships, love. If you don't have your mission, if you're not on your hero's journey, you are failing. You are hurting. And I see your pain. I feel your pain. I know that pain. I know the pain of wanting to be heroic and not even knowing where to go. You're so confused. You don't know how to start. And you got these copiums, man. You got the copium mask on. So let's talk about it. Let's not moralize. Let's not just pump it up. You know what I mean? Let's not just pump it up. Let's actually talk about it. So what should you do? What did I do when I was in that place? When I literally felt like I didn't have any hope. I felt like I didn't have any motivation. I was on the copium. I was on the YouTube, social media, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. Didn't know what to do with my career. Wasn't taking care of my health. What did I do? What do you do when you're in that place? First thing is you need to have hope. First thing is you need to believe. And as cheesy and as hippie as that sounds, do not underestimate the power of your mind and the mental side of this. You gotta find a way to break out of that desperation. You know, for me, I was just lying there in bed, chronic fatigue all day. All day. I was just watching my favorite Pokemon streamers, walking as much as I could. I was keeping myself in the game. I had a little bit of hope. But really, what helps is stories. You have to see what other people have accomplished, and then your spirit grabs onto that and says, God damn it, I can do it too. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you about Anton Chekhov. He lived in the Soviet Union in the mid-1800s, if I'm not mistaken. And his story is one of overcoming extreme obstacles. He is an anime protagonist. So Anton, he had a hard childhood. His dad beat him. His dad beat him and his brothers and sisters. And his dad was such a bastard that he said, this is the will of God that I beat you so that you actually respect your elders. It's to keep you humble. And so his dad was this very hurt character. And Anton oftentimes, he would be manning the store, kind of like Gary Vaynerchuk. His dad owned the store. And Anton would be shivering, his fingers shivering, manning the register in the store in Soviet Russia. And he would hear his dad's footsteps coming towards him, and he would start to shake and have like panic attacks because his nervous system was so dysregulated. He didn't know what his dad was going to do to him. So he's living in poverty. He's living in environmentally brutal conditions, and his dad beats him. And Anton, what does he do? Does he just cloister up like all of his brothers and sisters? Because under that very dark, demonic atmosphere, a lot of the kids, they just went into defense mode and they couldn't cope. But Anton was different. Anton, he went into his dark side of humor, and he would oftentimes mock all of the pettiness that would happen, all the hypocrisy that he saw in his fellow countrymen. How there was people who would act all pious and virtue signal. They'd go to the funerals and they'd go and they'd pray, but then he'd hear them whispering to each other, oh man, I can't wait for the croissants after this, at the person's funeral. And so he became kind of like this, he became this jester in the house, and it gave him energy, you know? So his attitude, it just stayed up. You know, even if you have to tap into your dark side, he stayed up. He didn't just fall into this sullen, dejected, hopeless. He didn't go into coping. He didn't go to OnlyFans. Well, that didn't exist back then. But you know what? I don't think Anton would have. Anton wasn't that type. Anton, he stayed focused on what he wanted to do because he hated the situation so much that he would write, he would speak, people would listen, and he practiced that craft. He went on a path of mastery because he just knew he wanted to change his family. He wanted to get out of poverty. And so he studied literature. He studied Shakespeare. He studied the playwrights, and he started writing plays. He started writing stories. He started telling stories. And over the years, that skill accumulated to such a point where he was a teenager, he was 16, and he actually had an opportunity to move away and to tutor at a certain institution. And so he did it. And yeah, he was bitter about his family. He hated his family. He hated his dad, and he despised his mom. And, he got some distance. And he started doing this tutoring. And it was the hardest thing he ever did because he didn't have any guarantee of support, money, no companionship. He had to start and build his life completely in this new place as a 16-year-old. He had to find his own clients, make his own curriculum, and make it on his own. And he struggled. He didn't stay sheltered like you see so many people doing nowadays. You still got 30-year-old guys living with their parents. And it's just too much shelter. It's the Oedipal. It's the dark side of the mother. Kind of like in Sleeping Beauty. The dark side, that witch. It becomes like a witch where it protects too much and it creates such a problem. It makes the person just go into a slumber. And you see that so much. And that's the same thing, by the way, that happens with all the copium. People go into the copium. Just online trolling, video games, way too much. I'm not against video games, but if you're playing it as copium, come on. If you don't have a life, if you don't have a relationship, if you're living at home, if you don't have a life purpose, you're using that video game as copium. Anton Chekhov did not do that. Anton faced the big bad world, is what I call it. He faced the big bad world, and he made his own way. He earned his own money. And with the distance, this is so interesting. With the distance from his family, he actually started to think through the literature about his parents, about why his dad beat him, about why his dad might have just been this serf, this person who was destined to actually come out of serfdom, but he stayed oppressed. He didn't take his brave journey, his hero's journey, into raising through the classes. And so he was so frustrated, he was resentful that, his brothers and sisters were able to escape. Now, this is Anton's dad. But Anton's dad was not able to elevate his social status. He was not able to break free from his inner self-image of being a subservient biatch, for lack of better terms. And so Anton actually understood, not that he condoned it, but he understood why his dad was frustrated. He felt like a failure. He felt so looked down upon by every other person in society. And that shadow frustration, he didn't understand how to handle it, and it lashed out on his family. So Anton, he started to understand. He started to understand and have empathy. Not condemnation, but he started to understand his father. And he was walking one day and he just had this overwhelming sense of compassion because he understood that it was in him too. He hated when people looked down on him. He hated when people figuratively spat on his feet and just treated him like a serf. The moral and socioeconomic self-righteousness that people had disgusted him. It absolutely appalled him that people actually had this form of racism, that they would look down on someone just because they're not as rich and treat them as lesser. And so he understood how his father felt because he had that same shadow. He had that same aggression and violence stirring within him. And he had that moment of compassion. And he broke down and he cried, realizing and empathizing with his dad. And sooner or later, he actually understood that he should go back and visit. So he goes back to Perong Rog, and he sees that his family is actually degenerating more and more. They're getting sicker, they're even more poor, they're living in a tenement, which is just like way too many people living in an apartment, bad plumbing, bad sanitation, just horrible, just absolute filth. And he sees that his siblings are going crazy. they need to be rescued. And so he says, you know, I'm gonna put on my my big boy suit, my overalls, and I'm gonna rescue my family. And so he starts using his savings. This is an extraordinary kid. This is a 17-year-old kid. He starts using his savings to improve the family life, providing for the family, better food, moves them to a better part of the town, out of this tenement, and actually starts working and doing tutoring work here based on the resume that he built. And over the period of several months, he elevates his family to such a point that his brothers and sisters are actually talking about, like, oh man, like, this is what I learned in school. Like, he got them back in school. He got them in an educational path. He lined them up with clients to start helping. And so all of a sudden, he revolutionized his family. And guys, I'm telling the story just because, you know, he did much more great things. Anton not only rescued his family, not only did he rescue himself out of poverty and ill health and dejection, hopelessness, class, racism, but he helped his family. And then he went on to keep on writing about this kind of stuff, and he was helping reform the prison system. He's helping reform the entire society through the power of his words. And the power of his words only came because he had hope that he could change his life from such tough situations. Now, you and me, we don't live in such a dejected state of communism and poverty and class racism. Yeah, we might have struggles in certain ways, but there's so many ways that we can get out there and make progress. There's so many ways that we can have hope. There's so many ways that we can actually raise up out of this discouragement, out of this stuckness, whether it's health stuckness, whether you feel like you hate your job and you feel trapped, whether you feel like you have to change careers, whether you feel like you don't have the relationships that you want, the social life that you want, whether you just feel like you're betraying your inner conscious, that Jiminy Cricket on your shoulder. Maybe you're going against him and you just know that you're throwing away your health, your time, your potential. This guy, he was able to overcome his situations. I think that we can overcome ours. Because guess what? He went on, he went to an island of exiles and degenerates and prisoners and criminals. And he observed what was happening there. This guy was brave as hell, guys. He was an anime protagonist. And he saw the horrible conditions of this detention center. He really faced the dark side of life. He didn't hide from it. He didn't cover it up with the copium. He came back, he integrated it, he wrote about it, he thought about it, he stood for something. He gave himself a life purpose. And if you have that, then you can overcome. A very wise man said, "He who has a why can endure any how." And it's just saying, if you supercharge yourself with a commitment, if you commit yourself to a purpose beyond yourself, something bigger, if you get involved in something like the military, then you will feel like you have this supercharge in your being that will pick you up, that will motivate you, that will give you a path, that will give you a path to mastery, that will give you a reason to live, that you won't just be this dejected, narcissistic, existential void inside you, thinking that there's no purpose. No more of that. If you plug into something that gives you a mission, that will ignite you. Think about it. Make a dream board. I'm going to show you my dream board before I go. I got several dream boards. You make something so beautiful in your imagination that you look at it every day and it just lights you up. You remember that vision. You got to feel it. You got to see what you want to make in your life. You got to feel it. And if you can really feel your dream, if you can create a beautiful ambition, if you can commit yourself to it, it'll give you more power than you really thought that you had. And you'll find that you can push through difficulties, just like Anton Chekhov did. You'll find that you'll be able to endure. You can motivate yourself. So that's what I find is the key to motivation. It's not emotional hype. It's having a dream. It's having commitment. It's having devotion to something beyond you. And you'll find if you have some devotion, strong devotion, that you gotta nurture, man. You gotta nurture this. This is a practice. You gotta nurture devotion. You gotta nurture fantasizing fantasizing on who you could be, fantasizing on what you can see happen, fantasizing about the beauty that you can see happen, the fun, the power, the energy. Make that fantasy, make that beautiful fantasy in your brain and really feel what it's like to be that new person, to live in that world. So for me, it's like, I want to have a farm. I want to be teaching people agritourism. I want to be teaching people culinary arts. I want to have a healing center. I want to have yoga and massage therapists. I want to have people going to mineral baths and saunas and doing detoxes. I want to see people eating the raw dairy, petting the goats, petting the cows, petting the sheep. I want to see people riding on horses, returning back to nature, hiking in the Shenandoah Valley. I want to see people around a campfire, listening to the music, the worship music. I want to see people dancing to the drum circle. I want this. And I'm going to see it. And that's motivating. Next time we're going to talk about the bird's eye view of looking at your health. Because what else is motivating is having a plan. Not just the dream, not just the vision, but having a plan. If you have a plan, then that motivates you because you know how to implement and you're looking forward to it. We're going to talk about the 3 major pillars of easily revitalizing your health. Detoxing, getting rid of the poisons, returning to nature, which includes just becoming a caveman again. What did the caveman do? Did he stay inside and sit on his ass 12 hours a day playing Game of Thrones? No. Returning to nature and then understanding how to sleep like it's a sacrament. Sleep like it's sacred. Sleep like a god. A lot of people are ignoring these things, and evolutionary mismatch, y'all. We're living a perverted life. This is not how our biology wants to live. We don't want to be in boxes sitting down, not going out and being together. So we're going to talk about that next. I gotta go. Hope this gave you a kick in the ass. I'll see you on the next one. Subscribe and like the video.